Seeing my mom dress a certain way or wear certain things, and you know, when she was on carpet or when I see her on set or anything like that, it was kind of difficult because it was like, you know, why am I not that way?
Right.
Why am I not that side?
Grandma endured years of suffering and abuse as a result of Brandy's daughter. Have you ever heard the adage, what's done in the dark always comes to light? The Norwood house is ablaze with secrets after Sy'Rai Smith turned on that light switch. For years, Brandy and her mother, Sanji Norwood, put in extra effort to preserve Brandy's reputation. However, it appeared as though Sy'Rai was being marginalized while they were creating the ideal narrative for the world to see. For Sy'Rai Smith, growing up as Brandy's daughter wasn't exactly a fairy tale, even though it might have seemed like a dream. She appeared to be Brandy's miracle child, born during a stressful period in her career when appearance was crucial. Behind the scenes, however, Sy'Rai was kept hidden, hardly noticed, and frequently left feeling as though she didn't fit in with her own family. Let's be honest now, being the good girl of R&B was the cornerstone of Brandy's entire brand at the time. She possessed the voice, the title of Disney princess, and a reputation for being wholesome. Thus, there was chaos when word leaked out that she was expecting. People were disappointed as well as shocked. Brandy, who portrayed Moisha, was the same person.
People have eyes on me at all times. People have eyes on mom all the time. So I did feel pressure to kind of quickly do it, or, you know, try and maneuver how I would, you know, let me not eat this for a week, or let me like kind of change up everything just to kind of form a little Instagram body, but that's not normal.
The same Brandy who advised young girls to put off getting married. Additionally, Brandy and her team came up with a story that she was secretly married to Big Bird rather than simply owning the truth. They could only maintain her reputation that way, or so they believed. Sy'Rai, however, was born into all of that, a society where appearances were more important than sincerity, and even after the fictitious marriage, that trend continued. Sy'Rai made sporadic appearances when she was younger, such as in the MTV special Brandy's Special Delivery, which followed Brandy's pregnancy and delivery, but then there was silence. She was no longer mentioned by Brandy in interviews. Fans began to wonder where Sy'Rai was, since she hardly showed up in family photos. The truth began to surface as Sy'Rai grew older. She acknowledged that she had battled with her weight for the majority of her life, and that many of these problems were related to her emotions toward her family and herself. Sy'Rai was instructed to remain offline until she looked the part, while Brandy was out and about living in the spotlight. That isn't defense, that's conditioning. It's also simple to feel like a flaw in the picture when your entire family has made a name for themselves by maintaining a flawless appearance. Z even opened up about how she felt under pressure to look like the ideal celebrity while attending events in designer dresses and form-fitting attire. She was merely looking for clothing that would make her feel visible and confident in the interim. In addition to undermining Sy'Rai's self-esteem, that emotional disconnect caused a rift in their relationship. She believed she had to prove herself in a family that valued appearance over character. It turns out that being famous by birth does not equate to visibility. Not when Grandma Sanja is in charge. Let's discuss Brandy's mother, Sanja Norwood. To be honest, Sy'Rai's grandmother was the original creator of the Norwood image. Sanja has been there to oversee Brandy's every action since the Moisha days. Nothing about her personal life or music career was made public until Sanja gave her approval. And when Brandy became pregnant, those involved thought Sonia had devised a covert marriage plan as a public relations ploy to preserve Brandy's good girl persona. Now consider that. Imagine what Sonia might have been up to behind the scenes with Sarah if she was prepared to lie to the world for the rest of her life in order to preserve Brandy's reputation. There have been rumors that Sonia kept pulling strings, everything from Sy'Rai's attire to her public persona to her weight and health management. According to some admirers, Sonia was more than just a protective grandmother. She was in charge of the Norwood legacy's next generation.
I struggled for sure with fame and identity and being put in a box of perfection. And I felt like I didn't have the space to grow and to grow up in a safe way.
Furthermore, Sy'Rai simply didn't fit the description. There's a story in the way Brandy maintained her flawless image while Sy'Rai struggled with her health. In private, Sy'Rai was cultivating an unhealthy relationship with food, while Brandy was publicly promoting veganism, yoga, and wellness. As a result, she even ended up in the hospital. The saddest thing is that neither Brandy nor Andre offered any genuine public support at the time. Just silence, no group appearances or messages. Sanja wrote the script, even though Brandy was the main character. Sy'Rai also claims that she was hardly permitted on the set. This is where the story becomes really poignant. She has been candid about how difficult it was to grow up in a family like that, young, insecure, and dealing with her body in a setting where being beautiful seemed to be the bare minimum. In a number of videos and interviews, Sy'Rai acknowledged that she struggled with her weight from an early age. She discussed how, particularly in high school, food became her comfort. She simply developed unhealthy habits as a result of the pressure, comparison, and stress. Furthermore, despite being Brandy's daughter, Sy'Rai never felt like she belonged. She revealed that even though her mother looked stunning at events, wearing high-end clothing and receiving accolades for her beauty and sense of style, she secretly wondered, why am I not that size? Why don't I have that appearance? What led to my creation? It goes beyond weight, and it has to do with identity. A young girl feels as though she doesn't even belong in her own family or in her own skin. Remember that this is Brandy's daughter. Brandy has consistently advocated for wellness, clean eating, and health. She has even talked about her personal struggle with an eating disorder when she was younger. However, Sy'Rai didn't appear to receive that message at some point. She appeared to experience silence, possibly even shame, instead of support. Sy'Rai once mentioned fainting as she was going upstairs. She claimed to be mistreating everyone at the showcase event before abruptly collapsing. The pivotal moment came when her cousins had to take her to the hospital. She was told bluntly by doctors that it was time to take her health seriously. She was afraid at that moment. She came to the realization that she couldn't continue in the same direction. Here's the thing, though. Brandy barely spoke during all of that. The public perceived Sy'Rai as being alone and fighting a battle in silence, not because she didn't care. In the present, we witness this new city flourishing, shining, and self-assured. People adore the music, beauty, and self-love she shares on social media. However, people are simultaneously ignoring the change. Despite Sy'Rai's claims that she altered her lifestyle, reduced her body weight, and prioritized her health, there are rumors that the glow-up may have been aided by surgery. To be clear, if someone chooses to get help, there is nothing wrong with that. However, the family's silence about it is the problem in this instance. The Norwoods have a lengthy history of evading or manipulating the truth. Do you recall the image control and the fictitious wedding? People start to doubt everything because of that pattern. Some speculate that Sy'Rai may not have initially thought of weight loss surgery, but rather used it to expedite the process. Grandma Sanja or Brandy may have even encouraged it, not necessarily negatively, but in a way that will allow you to be accepted at last. The problem is that nobody in the family has either confirmed or refuted it. It's been radio silence, just like every other delicate matter they've encountered. That quiet only encourages conjecture. Supporters believe that by keeping the true story a secret, the Norwood brand is being maintained. This question is really deceptive. For some reason, people don't realize that they can like and love us both, even though I know I just put that out there on camera, which is unprofessional. Brandy has previously been candid about her personal battles with eating disorders and body image. She talked about how, in order to maintain that perfect public image, the industry's pressure to look a certain way drove her into unhealthy habits. People therefore thought Brandy would take over when Sy'Rai began to deal with comparable problems. Who could be more qualified to assist her daughter than someone who had already experienced that same challenging path? But the questions begin there. Why didn't Brandy assist Sy'Rai in avoiding the same suffering if she had experienced it herself? According to some fans, Brandy made an attempt. There is conjecture that Brandy intentionally put on weight during Sy'Rai's most trying years, perhaps to make her daughter feel less alone, as well as for health reasons. If no one calls it out, it's so sad that generational trauma keeps cycling, someone commented. I feel sorry for her because it's difficult enough to grow up in the shadow of your mother's fame, but it's quite another to feel as though you don't belong with your own family. Brandy always seemed sweet, but you can see she's been under her mama's control for years too, said another. She was still working on healing her inner child, so I don't think she knew how to help Sky. There is also speculation that Brandy may have distanced herself because she didn't want people to talk about her, not because she didn't care. The Norwood brand has always been about image, and perhaps Brandy simply didn't know how to handle having a daughter who didn't fit that same mold after years of pressure on herself. Perhaps it had nothing to do with judgment. It might have been fear. Fear of retaliation, fear of history being repeated. When Sy'Rai finally found her voice, it was evident how profound her pain was. She claimed that she was anxious whenever her mother's name was mentioned in public, not because she wasn't proud, but rather because she felt the pressure of the comparison. "Why am I not that size?" she asked bluntly. It wasn't a vanity question. Identity was at issue. As she battled to feel seen at all, she was witnessing her mother's dream come true. She felt ignored, shaped, and constrained by demands she didn't make. She acknowledged in one clip that she wondered why she wasn't made the same way after seeing Brandy on red carpets looking a certain way. It's more than just pressure. She was merely attempting to survive. And it was more than just her body when she at last began to glow. It was her first authentic attempt at being herself. We're seeing a different Sy'Rai now. However, we must not overlook the wider picture. People are wondering if Brandy turned around and did the same to her own daughter as Sonja Norwood, who was well known for managing Brandy's image, controlling her career from the beginning, and clearing up every scandal. It might not have been deliberate, it might have been survival mode. However, Sy'Rai is obviously taking a different route regardless of the cause. She isn't hiding behind a false narrative or brand. She is recounting everything that happened, faults and all. Do you believe Brandy was merely repeating what Sonja had taught her, or was she attempting to assist in her own way? From here, where does Sy'Rai go? Post your ideas in the space provided below. Please remember to subscribe for updates and hit the like button if you're still with me.